Hello, brothers and sisters. It's a new week, and we're very happy to welcome you to a new edition of our show titled Speak of Africa. Africa has a whole lot of problems. It's a new week, so let's talk of Africa. Let's speak of Africa, okay? Before we start, we want to really thank you sincerely. We want to thank all our subscribers. We want to thank all our viewers. And we want to thank all our supporters. Without you, we'll not really have a show. So we say thank you very much. We're very, very humbled by your support. In fact, without you, we'll not really have a successful show. When we started this show, we wanted to create a niche and fill this niche because we realized that the African voice was drowned by the mass media. So we wanted to give a voice to Africans, the young Africans, the young generation, what we call the cheetah generation. We wanted to give them a voice to express themselves, and we wanted to explain to them how they can make sense out of their lives and lead more meaningful lives. That's why we started this show. Immediately after Thanksgiving, we're planning to start a live show so that we can engage the young people of today. You guys are the strong breed. You are the future. You are why we are doing this show. We want to reach you and we want to energize you so that you can take over and make African dreams come true. We dream of a free Africa. This can only be possible if young people like you can take the mantle of the fight and win for Africa. Okay? So that's what our dreams are about. We believe in the youth of Africa, and we think they can really change Africa. Old people like us have failed, and we're really sorry to say this. So our only hope is the African youth. You are the ones who can really change Africa for the better. Before we start the new segment, we really want to do some household chores. First, we want to tell you that we have to start with the book review. The book review for this week, there's a book which we've read many times, and we want to share this book with you. We told you before, every week before we begin the show, we want to introduce you to at least one book that you should read. This week, the book that we read is titled Defeating Dictators, Fighting Tyranny in Africa and Around the World by Professor George B.N. Ayite. Professor Ayite was a former lecturer at the American University in Washington, D.C. I had the opportunity to interview him at the American University. Okay? He was really a very good patron. I really like talking to him, and I love his intellect. He's very, very good. In fact, he's someone who has spent a whole lot of time thinking about African problems and writing about them. In fact, he's a very, very good writer. I've read almost all his books. Africa in Chaos, Africa Betrayed, Indigenous African Institutions. Then, of course, you have the new book. So he has written extensively on Africa. He has even served as the White House advisor on Africa. So we think he's an authority on this subject. And we encourage you to read his book, Defeating Dictators. If you really want to know, especially like the young people of today who want to fight dictators at home, you need to read this book because it will really show you the way the African dictatorship operates. So this book shows you the nature of African dictatorship. In fact, Professor Ayite uses two metaphors. One is a baobab tree, the other one is a table. He uses these two metaphors to describe what African dictatorship looks like. So for this show, we want you to know that if you want to defeat a dictatorship, according to Dr. Ayite's book, one, if you perceive dictatorship to be a table, this table has 4 legs. So you need to start by chopping these legs slowly until the table falls apart. Do not jump on top of the table. It will make it difficult for you to do much to really bring down this table. So your best strategy is to cut these legs slowly until the table falls down. The second metaphor is a baobab tree. Those of you who grew up in Africa should really know what a baobab tree is. If you don't, Google it, you see what a baobab tree is. Professor Ite thinks a dictatorship is also like a baobab tree. If you really want to bring it down, you start by trimming all the branches, cutting the branches, then eventually you start working on the stem, then finally you go to the root and start working on the root. Eventually this baobab tree will fall. Most of the things that sustains this baobab tree are what Professor Ite calls props. You have internal props and external props. Internal props are like the civil service, the army, the media, the judiciary, and the electoral commission. So all these elements support the dictatorship. So you have to find a way to start destroying these structures so that they don't have a useful life for the dictator. Then you also have external props. This is where you have the international organizations, the international community. There are so many things you can do to bring down a dictator, and he shows how it's done. So we really appreciate this book, and we encourage you to read it. So if you've had time to read this book, we would like to share ideas with you. So once you read it, feel free to make your comments and even review the book, because we're even looking forward to reviewing this book in the future. So try to review the book. It's a really good book, and we want to have this book in the library of every African. In fact, Professor Ite came up with the term, the cheetah generation, which is his way of referring to the new generation of Africans, the young people who have to bring change in the motherland. Then, of course, he refers to the coconut heads, who are the old leaders. He calls them the hippos. Those are the hippos. You remember the hippopotamus, right? So that's how he looks at it. So without further ado, we want to jump now into our subject, because we really want to focus on dictators and what to do about them. So that's going to be the subject of our show of today. Without further ado, we go straight to Ambazonia. You guys know we love talking about Ambazonia. It begins with the letter A, so naturally we start our show by looking at Ambazonia. Well, this week there's a whole lot happening in Ambazonia. There's a lot more killing. You have killing on both sides. The Ambazonians are really killing the militia from the Biya regime. Then similarly, the Biya regime is killing a lot of civilians, and this is what is happening. It's become like death has become a commonplace every day. That's what people deal with, and we really feel sad when we watch the pictures. Unfortunately, we don't want to show you all the pictures anymore. There's a whole lot of action. So in Ambazonia, this week, you can see the red dragons in action. Take a look.
Good.
Okay. Now Sunday die, but this is where the one carry and come inside house. See how they go.
They go to it for
They are Arab.
They go to it for other bomb.
Yeah, wait. I want to come now. Foncho, they look and find it when they reach for the other bomb.
In addition to the red dragons, you also have the ribbons with General Toronto. They also have another video where they show you the way they really lay ambush and really destroy the forces of La République du Cameroun. You will not really believe it. They have a very long video that we really want to share it in entirety with you. Take a minute to watch the video of General Toronto and his boys. Take a minute.
Today na 1st November 2001. I think in this way Ribbon's family they go jam skin for DNA they take am. They say the strong pass will select that big people then take am. Na Gonda for big colonel, he walking talking, he bomb. Na in Berefere he got. Na he own gun this way sleep for right hand side on the siam. Now document this for the colonel with a picture on a siam my country for them. On a siam. They say they will kiwi all but now they take every day one they go on a siam. Now ribbon speaking they don't do one. Big people them for ribbons, all them they do for year 2 they do that fine work. We see big man for year na Major General Toronto, 8 day he work a fine work. We see the big man for every day like a pa now. When I would call am family pit, she the living ghost. Una see face soon.
The ribbons.
Fight for freedom.
The ribbons.
Fight for freedom.
All for one.
One for all.
One for all.
All for one.
No retreat.
No surrender.
I thank una, my fellow population, mommy and papa, brothers and sisters, and our fighters them for the world. Now me, Field Marshal Ekpete, the living ghost. I deal with my brother them and my fellow fighters. Now in this, as one of the see them. So, as my brother don't talk, I no go talk along. Now that colonel this way say get the highest wish. Now I gun this, now I think then this, and I picking own this. I own that. So I say as when I end that, this one not be own. Now I think then this. So I go live now me my part to talk, part Toronto. I end that.
I greet Ambazonian people all. They no say Toronto be the Nigeria. Toronto don't come back for us. Now me the army go Toronto. I me the talk. I the call for the assistance for all Ambazonian supporters. So may they help we. This group one I say and so now the ribbons, now the group for Ground Zero. Be controlled by Field Marshal Keku. And the present person this way hold am now. They catch the ghost. So I cry for the various group them for abroad. I cry for the IG. Say may they support we. Because the work ahead is still plenty. I cry for church by church. Say may they support we. The work ahead is still plenty. Under Mami Princess Harry. I cry for ARUG. Ambazonian Revolutionary Regard. I cry say may they support we. May everybody where they support the revolution, may they see we so that we continue the work ahead. I take una beg una. I thank the people that made them make me come on Nigeria, can't join my brothers them for here, and all that they be happy. I say may they support me. I thank Zian County also because Zian County to be support before I reach the house. So the work will still continue. Not be so.
That's so.
Not be so.
That's so.
Okay, thank you for watching these two videos. Then you're also going to know that in Ambazonia, the people keep fighting. But the only advice we have for the people of Ambazonia is they need to have better leadership. Right now, what we've seen is you have factions, and these people are behaving as if they are governments. How can you have a government when you don't have a country that has been liberated? That's a question a lot of intelligent minds are asking. For example, you have three governments in Ambazonia. You have the Sako interim government, you have the Sisiku interim government, and you have the Ayabacho ADF interim government. How can you be having a government when you don't have a country yet? In fact, this is what some of the francophones say. L'Ambazonie, c'est un pays fantôme. Ça n'existe pas. Ambazonia doesn't really exist. So it's a country that just exists in the imagination. That's the way the francophones look at it. But we think the right way to do things is to morph into a liberation movement. This is what all these guys should have done. Instead of functioning as a government, they should have been working as a liberation movement, because that's what they should be. Right now, you cannot be functioning as a government because you don't have a country, and you need to function as a liberation movement. This is what has happened in other places in the world. Look at the Palestinians. They had the Palestinian Liberation Organization. At the same time, they had the Islamic Jihad, and they also have other groups. Hamas is also another liberation group that they've had, and is still continuing up to today. So, unlike the Palestinians, for example, the Ambazonians are trying to start a government. So we think this is a wrong approach. So we think they have to go back to the drawing board. If they don't go back to the drawing board, we already see signs that some of the young people in Ambazonia are even planning to start a new organization, which will really function like a liberation movement. And I think this is going to bring a whole lot of change, and they're going to win a lot more international support. Because right now, all these IGs, Sako, Sisiku, ADF, Ayabacho, they are not really getting any traction in the international community because they feel that they are doing things the wrong way. The right way is to function as a liberation movement. So there's a major distinction. We don't have a whole lot of time on this show to discuss it, but engage us on social media or even by email. We'll tell you the difference between a government and a liberation movement. So the best thing for the people of Ambazonia to do is to have a liberation movement. And that's what I think a lot of the young people want to have. And they're going to have that pretty soon. They're going to have a liberation movement, and this is going to be more lethal. And La République will be forced to come to the negotiating table because they're going to be having a lot more losses. So this is what we can give you for Ambazonia of today. Next, we'll move now to La République. This week, November 6th, marks the 39th anniversary of President Paul Biya. Some of you do not know that he came to power as a president officially on November 6th. Ojong resigned on November 4th and handed power to Mr. Paul Biya in 1982. I remember very, very well because I was in La République du Cameroun around that time. I was just graduating from Yaoundé University, my first degree in English and communications and linguistics. Then Biya took over. Since then, when Biya took over, it was like a new deal. The people had a lot of hopes, and they were thinking he's going to introduce a whole lot of changes. He himself presented his politics as the politics of change. La rigueur, la moralisation. So those are the two terms, the slogans that mark the beginning of the Biya era. But after over 39 years, the people have been very, very disappointed. The elections are fake. Of course, Tibor Nagy, the former U.S. Mr. Africa, Secretary of State, was just talking on Twitter about the 1992 elections. The NDI, the National Democratic Institute, presented a report, and we were able to find this report on Google. The report really shows you the way the elections were really fake. They were carried out with a lot of irregularities, and you need to look at this report. Then you really understand that every election, Mr. Biya has really rigged every election, okay? Even the elections in 2018 with Maurice Kamto, Mr. Biya had to rig it again. So the guy has rigged every election to stay in power. It is interesting that this week we saw a lot of his supporters who were meeting in Monatele, holding placards showing that they want him to be president until 2025. But that's interesting because you're really surprised that even in Bamenda, we saw pictures of Anglophones who are suffering under this dictatorship. Then they are asking him to stay in power for even a longer period. So this seems like a contradiction when the international community looks at this. Why are these people clamoring for him to stay in power? But of course, the real people of Ambazonia who really want total independence do not really care. They really ignore the succession shuffle that is going on in La République du Cameroun. On the one hand, it looks like there is a whole lot of people jockeying for power. They're just waiting for the after Biya period. What is going to happen? Who is going to be Mr. Biya's successor? So those are the questions inquiring minds want to know. On the one hand, you have Ferdinand Gongo, who is the Secretary General of the Presidency. Pretty much he runs the show because we hear he has the support of Mr. Biya's wife, Chantal. Then, of course, you also have the PM, the Prime Minister. It looks like he doesn't really have a chance. He's an Anglophone. We understand that France is telling the Biya government that they need to bring an Anglophone to be president, and they may be able to reduce his powers so that he's more of a figurehead and not really a power broker who can rule by decree. But it looks like the Singang of Mr. Biya's Bulu tribe do not really want an Anglophone to be president, so they are not even listening to the advice their French masters are giving them. So they really want to insist that they should put a Beti person as the new president. But the people of Ambazonia don't really care about who is president in this part of the world. They just want their total independence. That's what they are fighting for every day. But we'll see that this is what is on the minds of a lot of the people in Cameroon. They are celebrating. You look at pictures in Monatele. But at the same time, too, the Biya forces are also dying. We can even show you a video where these forces are lamenting the death of one of their comrades. Take a look. a picture of a soldier who died and they were celebrating.
Au champ de bataille, il faut pas pleurer, je meurs pour moi. Oh maman, faut pas pleurer. Oh papa, faut pas pleurer. S'il m'arrive de mourir au champ de bataille, il faut pas pleurer, je meurs pour moi. Mon ami, faut pas pleurer.
Thank you very much. We think we've spoken enough about La République du Cameroun. Now we'll go to Ethiopia.
Hey yo, Shape, I thought you was gonna take me to this place so I could get my taxes done. You know I'm trying to buy a new house. What's up?
Let's get it on. If you're searching for a house, call up my man Prince Ojong, the best in real estate. Take it from your guy Shape. When I say his services are the best in the states, word is born. He even take care of your tax forms, fat refunds. So come, get your business done. Consultations, financial organization, fast processing, no waiting. This man is amazing. The Prince.
Act now and call Prince Ojong at 240-350-1131. That's 240-350-1131.
On this show every week, we want to really give you the heartbeat of Africa. What is happening in Ethiopia is really affecting a lot of other countries in Africa, okay? When we started this show, we fell in love with Abiy Ahmed. We looked at him, we perceived him to be a reformer. He won a Nobel Prize for Peace, and we look at him like a golden boy. Not long after that, he changed his politics and started practicing the old type of politics of divide and rule, segregation. This did not bode well with the guys in the north, the guys in the Tigray region. They started resisting. The Tigray guys have been used to enjoying power in this country for a long time. So you cannot just push them aside and take away power from them. They're going to react, and that's what happened. Last year in November, we did a show when the war broke out, the civil war in Ethiopia, when Abiy Ahmed declared war against the Tigray region. We said we did not think this war was a good idea. We always tell you things, we predict things because we understand the geopolitics. We saw what happened to this region in 1991. We saw what happened with Mengistu Haile Mariam. Okay? We saw how the government fell. Then we know the politics of the Horn of Africa. We know how things work. So we thought it was a bad idea for Abiy Ahmed to declare war on these people. We felt he should have negotiated with the Tigray people so that there should be peace and the brothers should just work together with one voice. But Abiy Ahmed, being a soldier, he was naive. He chose the militarization option. We knew it was going to backfire like a boomerang, and it did. Now, the Tigray guys have formed an alliance with other groups like the Oromo, and they are marching down now to Addis Ababa, the capital of Ethiopia. As we speak, the US government has even sent emissaries to go to Addis Ababa and try to broker a ceasefire. But it looks like Mr. Abiy Ahmed is very, very adamant. He wants to fight. But now his back is on the wall because the rebels are marching down to Addis Ababa. Options are really limited, to say the truth. But we don't want any bloodbath in Addis Ababa. So we really think America should work more. The Biden administration is really working feverishly to bring about a ceasefire because a bloodbath in Addis Ababa would be very, very catastrophic. Addis Ababa is a seat of the African Union, so we don't really want this bloodbath to take place because it would not only kill other Africans, it would also kill Ethiopians, and these are all our people. So we don't want any war that will be killing our people. We think it's sad that our people are killing themselves, but it's because of the politics of exclusion. We've always said our people should pay attention. When you come to power, treat your people nicely, and there will be peace. When you don't work on having good governance, bad governance always produces violence. And this is why this war is going on. And of course, some of the Ethiopians who have been in Washington have been playing the game of lobbying. They have been lobbying the U.S. government. So, which is why the people at home are really confused. They cannot really understand what is happening. But we think soon things will really change for the better. Next, we'll move from Ethiopia to Ghana. Nana Akufo-Addo is the president of ECOWAS. ECOWAS is the Organization of West African States. They were meeting because they've had many coup d'etats in Africa. Of course, there was the coup d'etat recently in Sudan. But before then, you've had 3 other coup d'etats. One in Chad, one in Guinea, and one in Mali. It looks like as the chief or president of ECOWAS, President Nana Akufo-Addo was trying to meet to see how they can bring Guinea and Mali to the table to try to give them a schedule when they're going to return to civilian rule. It looks like the military juntas in those 2 countries are just playing for time. They don't really want to, they're playing games. They don't really want to tell ECOWAS when they will give up power. Why should they do that? Because they work hard to come to power, so they're going to make some money and enjoy themselves before they can give power to the civilians. That's the reality. So they're not just going to give power easily. We know that. But something we find strange is ECOWAS is not even talking about Chad. Chad also had a coup d'etat. When Idris Deby was killed in Chad, his son became president automatically with the support of France. Is that how it should be? Why is ECOWAS not pointing fingers at Chad? They behave as if it's normal for a son to take over from the father. That's normal. But when there's a coup d'etat, they complain. So these are double standards. It makes me feel as if I'm watching this movie called Trading Places, where there's one standard for white people and another standard for black people. So it means that if your father is president, it's okay for you to take over without any elections. So that's not considered unconstitutional. There is a national constitution which says when one president leaves, there should be election and another president can come in. But no, in Chad, there was no election. Mahatma Deby just took power from his father without any elections. But ECOWAS is not even talking about it. So is this not hypocrisy? This is what makes ECOWAS irrelevant in this part of the world. So we just think they are just wasting their time. They can kick these countries out of ECOWAS, but everybody is pointing fingers at Chad. Why are you guys not deposing Mahatma Deby? Why are you not deposing him? Why are you not asking him to turn the country into a civilian rule? He's a military guy. He did not win power by democratic means. So why are you not focusing attention on Mahatma Deby? That's what inquiring minds in Africa want to know. So ECOWAS is not fair, and the people know that, and that's the problem. ECOWAS cannot be taken seriously. They look at them like a joke, okay? Now we'll move to Rwanda. Of course, you guys have heard a whole lot about the Rwanda miracle, the way after 1994, Paul Kagame turned the country from a country dealing with genocide to a prosperous country. Some people, even when they talk about Rwanda, they talk about Singapore, they talk about Switzerland. So you can just imagine the way they put Rwanda is a success story. But a new book came into being a few months ago. They call it Do Not Disturb. It's written by Michela Rong. This book really casts doubt on the so-called Rwandan miracle. It shows you that there's a whole lot of myth around this miracle that is not built on truth. And the author also emphasizes the fact that the people of Rwanda are living in a country of lies, that lies are really an art form in Rwanda. So the system teaches their people to tell lies. So they use these lies to deceive foreigners and people who come from outside. So whatever you see as the Rwanda miracle is not true, it's just a mirage. So we say, okay, it means that we have to think twice and accept this. Then of course, we're sorry for what happened in Sierra Leone. There was a fire caused by an oil tanker. And of course, lastly, in Nigeria, we had the skid makers and we had the election of Charles Soludo. We don't have much time to talk about them, but we'll tell you we've had enough for the show of today. We'll keep the rest of the stories for next week. Thank you very much. May God bless you.
Now more than ever, it is critical that medical facilities utilize modern, reliable electronic health records. Introducing Alexia HTC, the innovative, affordable online solution for physicians and patients. Doctors' visits, diagnoses, prescriptions, and billing have never been easier. With Alexia HTC, you can work more efficiently with the integrated flexibility medical professionals need today. Schedule a live demonstration. Call or visit us at alexiahtc.com.
Medical practice software is too old. Indeed, all the programs are built on MUMPS, technology of the 1950s, and the programs cost too much money. Epic and Cerner cost billions of dollars. Meditech costs thousands of dollars too. In fact, that's why we created AlexiaHTC.com, a new and free EMR/EHR for doctors. AlexiaHTC.com is built for HIPAA. Yes, magical one-screen technology, ease of use, quick charting, amazing e-prescribing, tight labs integration, multi-office difference, because we believe doctors and patients need a break today. Be the first to test drive AlexiaHTC.com. You have nothing to lose, you have everything to gain. Act now. Call 240-350-1131. Alexia Care Corporation at AlexiaHTC.com.
Selling a service or a product? Need buyers? Use the African Nation TV as a channel to reach many viewers. Act now and call Prince Ojong at 240-350-1131. That's 240-350-1131. Act today.